Good morning. I think I'm live. So I'm coming to you briefly. I'm not prepared, which for me is not the norm. If you know me at all, I'm trying to make sure I am live. Um, yeah, for me is not the norm. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I like to have everything aligned. But I wanted to talk to you about a training that I did. Um, About 10 days ago. So 10 days ago on the weekend, I went to this training, and this was a training about messaging, like how to get your message right in your business, how to have a clear idea of who your ideal client is, what your mission is, and how to have all of that wrapped up in a message where um, you're talking your walk. People understand what you're saying. Um, and what was interesting in this training is that it started with mindset. It started with rather than going straight into messaging, the entire first half of the training was actually mindset. And I found that to be interesting. I think this is something that we forget quite a bit, that, when it comes to soulful success, hey, Magdalena, when it comes to having a clear message, it really stems from being clear as to how we're being and who we're being. And that's first. And a lot of us forget that we want all the strategies, but we don't understand that if behind the strategy is not the right energy, then it's not going to work. And so what my mentor was asking us, she was going through a bunch of questions, and she was kind of asking us, like, how are you being and what are you believing that has kept you from reaching the next level in your work? Whether that next level is just the amount of impact you want to have, whether that next level is the amount of money you want to make. She didn't care about that. It was more about us really sensing into what is it that's holding us back? What is it that's keeping us from getting to that next point? Um, and for me, I did quite a bit of thinking, and I had this insight, this realization. And just to give you a little bit of background, those of you who know me know this about me. So I've been for a long time, I was a psychotherapist, a licensed psychotherapist, and I was always the person who always overgave and undercharged. So I would work with people regardless of whether they could afford it. I would work at fees much lower than everybody else. I was always surprised how much more people who had significantly less um, experience than me would charge. And I would always overgive, because for me, when I work with a client, I want them to get everything I have. And some of that really came from, it's almost like for me, and I think this is partially true, but for me, it came from this sense of I want everybody to be able to get the support that they need. And I don't want money to be an issue. What ended up happening with me though is I got burned out, and I also attracted a lot of people who weren't quite motivated to change. And I had this conversation with a client of mine last week, who was talking about the frustration of working with this person for 50% off, and then having this person really not making a huge amount of change in their lives, and then starting to come up, at first it was this person was taking his whole family on a vacation, and it was this person was getting a new car, and suddenly you realize that this person could afford to pay him, but just essentially was not making working with him a priority, which was essentially why he wasn't getting results. And so, it came to me, I was kind of in that training, really digging deep and figuring out this is something that's been with me my whole life. And yes, I want to support people, but there was more to it than that. And I realized, and this was the insight that I realized, that I had in some way, shape, or form taken responsibility for my clients' results. And so when we take responsibility, and I'm talking to you, if you're a healer, if you're a coach, a soulful entrepreneur, a therapist, somebody who really brings transformation to people, when we start taking responsibility for our clients' results, what happens is we literally freeze ourselves. We freeze their capacity for growth and we freeze our capacity for showing up because it's heavy. There's when we take responsibility for another's, it's heavy. And I had to reformulate that. And I realized in this training, and I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, but literally, like, we're always growing, we're always evolving, we're always learning new things. I learned in this training, I realized I had this insight in this training that part of why I was overgiving and undercharging for so long was because I figured that in some ways, if I undercharge, people would expect less. The problem is what I didn't realize is they would also expect less from themselves. And I had this realization that all of us who are light workers, and I'm talking to you, who does something amazing, who has your own magic and transform lives with it. When somebody sits with us, when somebody meets with us, transformation is inevitable. We are the transformation. The space between the client and us is the magic. There is no doubt that when you give your attention, your heart, your soul to someone, and they actually show up, transformation is going to happen. And being able to sit in that, being able to own that and not worry that I'm responsible for the client's result, like it's like something shifted within me. And that's the insight is when you bring your magic to someone else and they bring their own magic, something in that space creates something different. It's not you and it's not them. It's the joining of both of you. And so being able to really own that there's no way for a client to not have a transformation when they start working with us. But the transformation is not our business. We're here to show up in our magic. We're here to show up in our power. We're here to show up in our gift, in our brilliance, and to hold space for something to happen, for transformation to happen. But we don't own the transformation, the client owns, and the client to some degree owns it, but they own the level. Transformation is inevitable. To what degree a client transformed, that's up to him or her. And being able to realize that the level of transformation that occurs in with a client has very little to do with strategies and everything we do in that session with the client, but has everything to do with who we're being. And that's something that I realized in this training. I was a little surprised how much of the training, even though we were supposed to be talking about messaging and content and having powerful message and a powerful content, how much of the beginning of this training, almost the first half of the training, was all about mindset. Because transformation, whether it is in your content, whether it is with your clients, is about who you're being. It's about who and how you're showing up, not so much what you're doing. And that's true in business, that's true in attracting people. And so, the question that we always want to ask, and the question she had me ask, my mentor, during this training is, what's in the way of me owning my most sovereign self, my most sovereign entrepreneur? And that's the word I use. The part of you that is deeply already successful, the part of you that is totally anchored in her own or his own brilliance and gift. Because when you meet a client from that place, when you write content from that place, when you show up on a live from that place, that's when you reach people. That's when your energy is different. So our only job in some ways, yes, you need to know the strategies and you need to have the right mentor to show you the strategies. But I guarantee you, I swear to you, you can have all the right strategies. If you're not showing up as the most powerful version of yourself, it's not going to work. Same thing with a client. You can have a beautiful process with a client, but if you're not showing up in your own power and your own sovereignty, and they're not showing up from a place of being willing to change, to transform, nothing's going to happen. And so that's our main job, is to figure out who who am I when I'm my most unleashed, my most fearless, my most anchored in my gifts, my brilliance, my confidence for the fact that I can transform lives. And so that's what I'm asking you. Who are you when you're your most unleashed? Who are you when you're fearless? Who are you when you're more worried about serving and showing up powerfully than you are about staying comfortable and safe? Who are you at your highest? And how do you bring that self, that sovereignty in everything you do? How do you bring that sovereignty in how you work with clients, in your marketing, in your content, in going live, in offering a workshop, in designing a program or a signature system that totally honors your soul and transform lives and feeds you and feeds your bank account? Figuring out who that needs to be. And so that was my insight. Is there were two insights. One is I really need to step into that most sovereign entrepreneur and make sure that she's the one who's showing up to everything I do, and to really start um, steeping in that, because that's what happened. It's like the more you ask yourself that question, who am I when I'm my most unleashed, most anchored in my sovereignty, most powerful, most trusting of my gifts? And keep going back to that sense of that and keep steeping in that. It actually starts to, just like a cloth that you would steep in tea, at some point it takes that color, and that color doesn't go away. You actually become that person, and she or he starts showing up every time you're fully showing up. Every time you're showing up in authenticity and in truth, that person, that sovereignty is showing up. So that was my first insight. And my second insight is transformation is inevitable. I don't have to worry about a client transforming. I just have to show up as that self, and transformation is inevitable when I'm showing up as my most powerful, most sovereign, most soulful self. Transformation is inevitable. That's our job. Our job is to show up as that most empowered self. The level of the transformation, the way the transformation look, exactly what happens for the client, that's not our business. That's the client's business. All we have to do is step in that sovereignty, step in that empowerment, step in that unleashed presence that we are at core, and do everything, show up for the client, show up for our marketing from that place, and then walk in faith, be in trust from that place. So that's my thing I want to share with you, because if you're watching this, then I know you have that sovereignty within you. If not, you wouldn't have found this video. If you're watching this, I know that there's a way that you can show up in your business more powerfully, that you can show up with your clients, that you can show up in your life, that you can show up in your marriage, in your work, with your kids, anywhere in life more powerfully. My focus is always on showing up from that place of sovereignty in our business, because that is what moves the needle. But what I'm talking about in terms of business applies to every part of your life. And so if you're watching this, I know it's because there's literally something within you that still needs to awaken to that next level. And that's my invitation for you, is anytime you go to do something in your business, whether it's meet with a client, write a powerful piece of content online, go to a networking event, ask yourself, if I was fully unleashed, if I trusted completely in my own brilliance, in my own gifts, and in my right to be here and to show up from that place, what would that look like? How would I show up? And essentially, before you do anything, anchor in that and then do it from that place. And then don't worry about the transformation. That's the other side of this insight, is what happens actually isn't your business. Your work is showing up as that most powerful, most sovereign entrepreneur, healer, coach that you are. And then walking in faith that as if you show up as that, if you show up as your highest being, what you get back is in alignment vibrationally with that. So if you show up that way with your clients, the kind of impact you will create will be amazing. If you show up that way when you're writing content, the kind of impact you will create and the response you will get will be amazing. It might not be amazing right away. It might take a little time to percolate because you're literally stepping into something new. You're stepping into a new level of yourself. That's the thing. We have to raise our standards. If you don't like the results you're getting, either in your business, in who you're attracting, or even in the results your clients are getting, it's not about changing the strategy automatically. It's about first aligning with a higher level of being with that sovereignty that I'm talking about. And then from that place, seeing what needs to be done. Most of us do it the other way around. We try to shift and do stuff, but we're literally doing it from that place of disempowerment, from that place of being afraid, from that place of feeling invisible. And then we wonder why nothing changes. It's a little bit like that Einstein quote, you can't fix a problem from the same level of consciousness that created the problem. You want a different result. It's not automatically about doing different things. It's about being different. It's about being at a next level of consciousness, of showing up, of trust. So if you're watching this, I know that next being is calling forth in you, or you wouldn't have found this video. And if you're interested in exploring that with me, if you're interested in figuring out how to create a business that honors your soul, that changes lives, that feeds you and feeds your bank account, because we deserve to have a good life and to make a good living and to do great things with the money we make, then just put brainstorm in the comment or send me a messenger, send me a message on Messenger, and we will explore that. We'll explore what that next level of being looks like and how that translates into your strategy. And we'll look at where you might be stuck, what might not be working, and how to shift that so that you can show up more powerfully. You can show up fearlessly so that you can show up in a way that's actually going to magnetize and attract people because it's going to be so aligned with that next level, that next version of yourself that it can't help but attract that next level and that next version of clients that are waiting for you. That's the thing. You know, a lot of my clients will say to me, none of my people, none of my clients are out there. And the truth is, that's not true. It's never true. What happens is that our clients are waiting for us to step up. Our ideal clients are waiting for us to show up at that next level. And when we do that, we always get a new wave of clients. And it's kind of that thing. It's like we're here, we get that level of clients. We get here, we get that level of clients. And we get here, we get that level of clients. And that's our work. Our work is always to elevate ourselves so that our work, our message, our mission is elevated and so that people can find us. So if that resonates with you, if you're curious about that, I offer a full hour, I call them soulful success activation sessions, just to figure out where you're stuck, what needs to shift internally and externally, because I'm a strong believer that change transformation takes two sides. It takes the inner work and it takes a strategy. It takes the outer work. So if that feels interesting to you, put hashtag brainstorm in the comment and we'll brainstorm what needs to happen, and you'll leave with a lot more clarity and confidence than when you walked in, or send me a message on Messenger. All right, guys, thank you for being here with me. And just remember, ask yourself before you do anything, how do I need to show up? What is that next level self? If I was fully unleashed, fully trusting, fully fearless, what would I be saying? How would I be showing up? And that's your practice. Your practice is to keep showing up to the highest level possible from that perspective as that self. I'm looking at comments. Hi, Sharon. How Aryev? I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Aryev. Yes. Yes, Sharon says, love this. Who am I when I'm my most unleashed? Yeah. Who am I when I'm most anchored in trust, in faith, in presence? And how do I show up from that? And honestly, that has made all the difference to me. That's when I know what strategy is going to work for me. That's when I know what to do next. If I try to do something from a place of feeling small, from a place of feeling stuck, from a place of feeling invisible, then I keep getting these results. I keep getting more stuck, more invisible, more overlooked, more feeling small. When I step into that place of feeling open, wide, spacious, deep, anchored in my own magic, then I know what to do and I get different results. That's usually when I get a couple new clients that will come in because they feel or see something in my words that resonates with them. Sometimes they might not know why they reached out to me at that particular moment when maybe they've been following me for a long time. So there's that trust too, is we have to elevate ourselves. We have to show up as that most sovereign self to essentially get. I hope you have an amazing week and I will talk to you soon. Bye.